What if Batman was in Star Wars? It is the second year of the Clone Wars. The galaxy is in complete disarray as war rages on throughout the Outer Rim. Gigantic battles, rampant death, uncontrollable chaos. Wherever you look, there is pain and suffering. And that trend continues on Coruscant, who is currently in the midst of its own peril. There have been a string of murders on Coruscant over the last few weeks. Something completely unheard of in the planet-sized city's lifespan. High-profile targets including senators, Jedi Knights and Masters, owners of large companies, all dead. The most powerful people on the planet were found dead. The Republic courts have been investigating and found nothing. Jedi have been sent to find the culprit and either turn up empty-handed or dead. No one can solve this. Hey guys, make sure to check out our saber shop Fantasy Sabers for the best NeoPixel sabers on the market. We have a bunch of perfect replicas and other insane Padawan sabers for sale. Check them out on our website, first link in the description below, and grab your own one today. The Jedi Council decides to call in the one man they believe can solve their issues. He is the Dark Knight, the Caped Crusader. He is Batman. Batman stands in front of the Jedi Council as they explain what has been happening on Coruscant. The Dark Knight is one of the best detectives in the galaxy, heralded for his incredible solves. Back in Gotham City, on a distant planet in the Outer Rim, Batman keeps order and solves any crime that comes his way. The Jedi know that he is their man for this. He leaves to begin his investigation. The crime scene was a stark contrast to Coruscant's glittering skyline. In the dimly lit office of Senator Oberyn Drex, the body lay crumbled on the polished floor, surrounded by the eerie hum of the room's broken security systems. Drex had been an outspoken critic of the Jedi, pushing for stricter Senate control of their role in the war. His throat was slit with surgical precision, and above him, carved into the durasteel wall, were the chilling words,
"The chosen will rise from the ashes of the Jedi's hubris."
The message sent a wave of unease throughout the Jedi Council, its ominous tone striking close to their ancient prophecies. Drex's datapad was missing, and the room showed no signs of forced entry, suggesting that the killer was calculated and deliberate. Word of the murder spread quickly, igniting public outrage and casting suspicion on the Jedi Order. It was a controversial decision for the Council to bring in Batman, but they were under immense pressure from the Senate to solve these murders. Batman arrived and investigated the scene. Inside, he immediately activated his advanced forensic scanners, the lenses of his cowl glowing faintly in the dim light. He noticed a faint residue on the senator's desk, trace elements of an exotic poison unknown to the Jedi medics. His ultraviolet vision revealed smudges on the wall near the inscription, indicating the killer wore gloves, but left behind microscopic fibers unique to the military-grade uniforms. A small, almost imperceivable scrape on the floor near the window suggested a grappling device had been used for entry and escape. As he pieced together the scene, the door behind him creaked open, spilling faint light into the room. A startled guard caught a glimpse of his dark silhouette against the wall, the pointed ears of his cowl cutting an imposing figure before Batman vanished into the shadows with a low growl.
"I'm not here to play games."
Batman then moved to the second murder scene. Taran Vos, a respected Jedi Knight who had once trained alongside Anakin Skywalker, and he was found dead in the usually serene archives, his body seated upright as if meditating. There were no visible wounds, yet the chilling stillness of his face suggested an unnatural death. Batman arrived at the scene, his cowl's forensic scanners humming softly as he examined the area with meticulous precision. He detected faint traces of force energy clinging to the air around Vos, an anomaly that even the Jedi had overlooked. Nearby, a faint scorch mark marred the pristine floor, its pattern consistent with Sith lightning, though it was subtle enough to evade the standard detection methods. Batman's tech picked up additional evidence, microscopic fibers from a stealth cloak near an air vent, suggesting that the killer's entry and exit had been calculated and precise. Presenting his findings to the Jedi Council, Batman outlined a disturbing pattern. The murders weren't random, they were deliberate and targeted, with subtle clues tying them back to Anakin. Though Anakin protested fiercely, the Council permitted Batman to shadow him, much to Anakin's growing frustration. Forced to stay away from Padme for safety, Anakin reluctantly returned to his long-abandoned quarters in the Jedi Temple, a place he hadn't stayed in years since his secret marriage. Batman followed him, his eyes sharp and analytical as he scanned the room. It was eerily tidy, almost as if no one had lived there.
Impressive, almost sterile,
Batman remarked, his tone dry. Anakin waved off the comment, claiming he liked to keep things neat, though the truth was simpler. The room was untouched because it hadn't been used since he moved in with Padme. Batman didn't press him, but his keen instincts told him the Jedi Knight was holding back something personal. He took in every detail of the quarters, the neatly folded blankets, the pristine floors, the faint but telling lack of life, and stored it in his mind as part of the growing puzzle surrounding Anakin. The murders, and the shadowy figure pulling the strings. As Batman swept the room with his forensic scanner, he paused near one of the walls. Something didn't match. The wall's surface had faint traces of disturbance, minute particles and scuff marks that didn't align with the rest of the room's untouched state. He glanced at Anakin.
You're sure no one else has been here?
Anakin was visibly irritated and shook his head, but couldn't hide the flicker of doubt across his face. Anakin shook his head again, though now he wasn't so sure. Batman's cowl lenses shifted to detective vision, revealing subtle thermal inconsistencies behind the wall. With a precise tool from his utility belt, he pried the panel open, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside was something Anakin had never seen before. A small hollow projector, its surface engraved with Sith symbols, sitting behind a blood-red kyber crystal that radiated with the dark side. Batman reached for the hollow projector, and as his gloved hand brushed against it, it activated. A distorted voice crackled to life, projecting a dark hologram into the air. The voice spoke slowly, the words laced with malice.
The Chosen One's destiny is not his own. Balance will come through destruction, not peace.
Anakin stepped back, his eyes wide with alarm. Batman studied the projection intently, his analytical mind processing every detail. This discovery wasn't just proof that Anakin wasn't the killer, but it pointed to someone obsessed with the prophecy of the Chosen One. The hollow projector was a trophy, planted deliberately to link the murders to Anakin. The message was a warning and a taunt, revealing the killer's twisted admiration for Anakin's destiny. Batman powered down the hollow projector, his jaw tight with resolve.
This isn't about you being guilty. It's about someone who believes you'll grow into something dark and powerful.
Anakin's fist clenched as anger and confusion warred within him, but he nodded, realizing the danger was far greater than he'd imagined. From here, Anakin and Batman continued their investigation into the murders. The two were hitting it off, bantering back and forth as they roamed throughout Coruscant. This city was new to Batman, though he was used to patrolling large cities with towering skyscrapers. Anakin constantly joked to Batman that he would discover his true identity, laughing and maybe saying that he is even a Jedi under his hood. But the Caped Crusader ignored him, and the two continued their searches. At the Senator's crime scene, Batman discovered an encrypted datapad buried under the wreckage of the room. Its contents were layered with advanced security protocols, defying even his cutting-edge decryption technology. He examined the datapack closely, noting it contained fragments of a Republic military dossier, though the exact details were obscured. Further investigation into the victims revealed a troubling pattern. The Senator had been a vocal advocate for stricter Jedi oversight. The Jedi Archivist specialized in Sith artifacts, and the clone officer had commanded a secret Republic task force. On the surface, none seemed connected, but Batman's instincts told him they were each blocking someone's larger plan. To decode the Sith runes found at the scenes, Batman sought Anakin's help, knowing only someone attuned to the Force could interpret the symbol's deeper meanings. As they worked together, Batman's sharp mind caught subtle oddities in Anakin's behavior, his discomfort at the Jedi Temple, his frequent secrecy, and his reluctance to speak openly about certain matters. These observations pushed Batman to look beyond the immediate mystery, prompting him to investigate the Jedi Order itself, where he found patterns of mistrust, growing tensions, and secrets that hinted at even a greater conspiracy. In the Jedi Temple archives, Batman's investigation uncovered a concealed section detailing the history of an ancient Coruscant cult. This group, obsessed with the prophecy of one who would bring balance to the galaxy, had once attempted dark rituals eerily similar to the patterns of the recent murders. The lead took Batman and Anakin into Coruscant's shadowy underworld, following the cult's faint trail through abandoned tunnels and bustling black market districts. Deep in the labyrinth of the city's lowest levels, they spotted the killer mid-act, a figure in tactical gear standing over a new victim. Anakin ignited his lightsaber, but the killer, quick and prepared, hurled a smoke bomb, creating chaos and vanishing into the darkness. Batman activated thermal vision and pursued through narrow alleyways, leaping across rooftops and using his grapple to keep pace. The killer was relentless, using hidden traps, flashbangs, and the twisting maze of Coruscant streets to evade capture. Anakin struggled to keep up, the crowded streets slowing him down, but Batman never lost focus. Anticipating the killer's moves, he called in the Batmobile, which roared through the chaos, cutting off the killer's escape route. As the killer turned to flee, Batman launched from the vehicle, disorientating him with a well-timed smoke pellet and landing a precise strike that knocked the weapon from his hands. Using fear and misdirection, Batman cornered the killer, forcing him to surrender. As the killer gasped for air, he revealed in short breaths that he wasn't acting alone. Batman's eyes narrowed, knowing that this was the first solid thread connecting the murders to something much larger and far more dangerous. The captured killer, barely conscious, gave Batman and Anakin a crucial lead, a Sith holocron hidden in an old Coruscant warehouse, the object that had been used to manipulate him into committing the murders. Just as he finished speaking, his body convulsed, and he fell silent, his death triggered by a remote Sith curse designed to keep him from revealing more. Batman and Anakin, now holding the holocron's location, rushed back to the Jedi Council to report their findings. They explained that the Sith had infiltrated the highest levels of the Republic, manipulating key figures to further their plans, including the murders. The officer's information and the Sith curse revealed a far-reaching conspiracy orchestrated by one central Sith Lord, pulling strings from the shadows. Batman's grim analysis suggested that the Republic had been unknowingly playing into the hands of the Sith, and the dark truth was becoming impossible to ignore. The council was stunned, the weight of the revelation settling in. Obi-Wan looked at Windu and Yoda, who were thinking the same thing as he was. Kenobi explained to Batman and Anakin, and the entire council in session, that at the beginning of the Clone Wars, Count Dooku had told him that the Sith Lord was in control of the Senate. He never believed it, but maybe he was telling the truth. Maybe Sidious had been right under their noses this entire time. Plo Koon says that they must discover the identity of Sidious. If they know who he is, he can be routed to the Senate, and they can expose the man who created the Clone Wars. Only with the Sith Lord defeated can the Clone Wars and all the murders on Coruscant come to an end. This was Batman and Anakin's new task, to discover the identity of the Sith Lord. No one could have expected that the string of murders would go this high up. Batman nodded, and he knew this would be a difficult task. Before the session ended, the council explained to the Dark Knight that they would help as much as they could. The council explained the few people who they believed could be involved. This included Chancellor Palpatine, who the council believed was a puppet of the Separatists and playing both sides of the war. Batman hadn't expected them to say that Palpatine was working with the Separatists, having seen the Jedi give him such high praise ever since he arrived on Coruscant. But I guess that's where Batman would begin. Batman was the greatest detective in the galaxy, and his advanced technology is the one thing that the Jedi have no idea how to use. Batman stood in the shadows of the Jedi Temple, the Sith holocron resting in his gloved hands. His detective vision, a highly advanced feature built into his cowl, came to life as it had analyzed the cryptid artifact. The faint glow of his screen reflected in his eyes as it scanned the microscopic traces of material and unusual biological markers. It wasn't a quick process. Every scan revealed more questions than answers, and Batman knew this wouldn't be easy. But as he cross-referenced the DNA markers found in the Sith holocron, with fragments discovered at various crime scenes across Coruscant, a pattern began to form. The trail wasn't clear, but something in the back of his mind told him it was all pointing to a single figure. He didn't jump to conclusions, though Batman wasn't the type to solely rely on coincidence. His mind worked through the details, piecing together the information in a methodical way. He knew the evidence had to match perfectly, and it didn't yet. With a sigh, he reluctantly switched to another tool in his utility belt, a voice analyzer. This wasn't just any piece of equipment, it was one of the most sophisticated pieces of tech in his arsenal, capable of isolating and enhancing sound frequencies from even the most complex transmissions. He linked it to the encrypted Sith transmissions they intercepted, pulling up hours of recordings from the war. The analyzer filtered out the noise, isolating the key frequencies that had long eluded the Jedi. Batman let the machine work for a few minutes, every second feeling like an eternity. Finally, the analyzer beeped, its screen flashing the results. The vocal patterns, though faint and distorted, began to form a clear image. There was a direct match with Senator Chancellor Palpatine's voice. It was almost imperceivable, but the evidence was undeniable. Batman's heart sank as he absorbed the truth. Palpatine wasn't just a puppet master behind the Sith, as the Jedi Council had suspected. He was the Sith Lord, controlling the entire galaxy from the shadows. Batman didn't stop there. His mind was going crazy with the implications. He reached out to Anakin, a sense of dread settling in his chest as he prepared to reveal the discovery.
Palpatine isn't working with the Separatists, as the Council suspects,
Batman said, his voice low and measured.
He's been hiding in plain sight, controlling both sides from the start. Chancellor Palpatine is the Sith Lord.
Anakin couldn't believe what Batman had just said. It made no sense. Anakin, stunned by the revelation, nods grimly. Anakin knew they had to act now. Batman's expression hardens, his plan already forming. Anakin asked Batman how he found out.
This is what I do.
The Caped Crusader explains they are going to need proof that Palpatine is the Sith Lord so that the Senate believes them and they can arrest him for good. Using his silent grapple gun, Batman swings them both past the security checkpoints, moving swiftly and silently. Inside the dark, opulent office of Chancellor Palpatine, Batman activates his holographic forensic scanner, its subtle hum barely audible. The scanner flickers as it scans the room, revealing hidden compartments in the wall and under the desk. Batman's eyes narrows as he locates what they've been searching for. A Sith lightsaber, cold and menacing, and a small, ancient data chip. He plugs the chip into his gauntlet, and a hologram projects from it, displaying Palpatine's voice and an image, transformed into the twisted Darth Sidious. The hologram reveals his plans for the Clone Wars, confirming his role in orchestrating the entire conflict. Just as the final piece of the puzzle falls into place, the doors burst open. Palpatine strides in, his eyes narrowing in fury as he sees Batman and Anakin. Without hesitation, Batman steps forward, his presence unwavering as he addresses the Sith Lord.
Game over, Chancellor. You've lost,
he says, his voice calm yet cutting. The tension in the room is thick as Palpatine's facade of calm cracks and the truth finally laid bare.
You were always meant to rise, Anakin. Everything I've done was for you to become the ultimate Sith.
Anakin, filled with disgust, rejects him, and in an instant, Palpatine ignites a crimson lightsaber, his eyes burning with hatred. Skywalker exclaims that Sidious won't leave here alive. The air crackles with tension as Palpatine attacks, moving with the speed and power of a Sith Lord. Batman uses one of his gadgets, deploying smoke bombs and flashbangs to confuse Palpatine, while sonic disruptors create openings for quick strikes. Batman didn't have the Force or a lightsaber, so he had to use everything in his weapon arsenal to stay out of Palpatine's striking range. Despite these distractions, Palpatine's mastery of the Force makes him a terrifying opponent. His strikes relentless and deadly. Batman's scanners pick up another weapon, a hidden lightsaber inside a decorative vase. With a swift grapple, Batman retrieves it, igniting the blade just in time to join the fight. The battle escalates, Palpatine unleashing Force lightning and furious lightsaber strikes. Batman counters with his gadgets, using a mini force field to block the swinging lightsaber and explosive batarangs to force Palpatine into a defensive stance. Anakin fights with raw power, tapping into the Force but struggling against Palpatine's taunts about Padme and his destiny. Batman remains calm and calculated, his strategic thinking helping Anakin find the opening to land critical blows. Together, they push Palpatine back, Batman landing a precise strike with an electrified batarang that disrupts the Sith Lord's concentration. Seizing the moment, Anakin delivered the final blow, his lightsaber cutting through Palpatine with deadly precision. The dark presence of the Sith Lord finally fades, and the room falls silent. With Palpatine dead, Batman ensures that the evidence is delivered to the Jedi Council, revealing the dark truth of the Sith Lord's control over the Republic. The galaxy begins to see the full scope of Palpatine's manipulations, and his hold on power crumbles. Anakin was shaken by the events, but he still stands tall. He vows to rebuild trust within the Jedi Order and bring an end to the Clone Wars. As Batman prepares to leave, he quietly disappears into the shadows of Coruscant. Before he goes, he leaves a message for Anakin.
You chose to fight for what's right, even when it was hard. That's what makes you a hero. Never forget that.
Anakin nods and Batman turns and heads for the window. As he goes to jump with his grapple in hand, he turns one last time.
I don't know what's more complicated, your lightsaber skills or your relationship with Padme.
Anakin's eyes popped and Batman smiled. How on earth did Batman figure out his relationship status? With those words, Batman jumps into the night, leaving Anakin with a renowned sense of purpose. Anakin turns, staring at Palpatine. With his death, the Clone Wars would be over, the Republic would win, and the murders on Coruscant were solved. Everything was right again. Peace was finally restored.
Ignite your imagination with fantasy sabers.
If you enjoyed today's video, you must watch what if Thanos' snap affected the Star Wars universe, and what if Anakin killed Obi-Wan on Mustafar. Please check out our saber shop, Fantasy Sabers, for the largest collection of replicas, Padawan sabers, and more. The link is first in the description. Thank you all for watching, and may the Force be with you.